tremendous number of deer, numerous bucks.
Deep in South Texas deer country, co-host Larry Mr. Whitetail Weishuhn returns to Zapata County to look for Muy Grande bucks with friend Norris McCost at Hooks and Horns Outdoors on Winchester Whitetail Revolution.
It's coming this way, if he'll just keep coming straight on.
'Winchester's Whitetail Revolution is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Bushnell Optics, magnify life. Code Blue, perfecting the science of hunting. Winchester Repeating Arms, the guns that work. "100% wild South Texas deer on native habitat and feed. That's the promise of Hooks and Horns Outdoors, the vision of Captain Norris McCost, who for decades guided hunters and anglers in deer pastures and on saltwater bays. McCost manages his deer for optimum buck-to-doe ratios and uses selective hunting to produce once-in-a-lifetime trophies.
Hunting South Texas is always such a treat, especially when you come down in January. You're right at the tail end of the rut. Bucks are still chasing does, especially big old mature bucks are out chasing does. We've got several bucks kind of working this area. It's just fantastic. The bucks are chasing does a little bit. The does are trying to wean their fawns. It's kind of like a ringside seat of watching a little bit of everything. A buck chasing right here, coming right our way. We're down in South Texas. Came down on this hunt and can't wait to get started on it. I'm down here with Bill Whitfield, hunting with Hooks and Horns on a place down in Zapata County that's really had not had any hunting pressure for about the last 3 years.
If you want to raise good deer, you have to have two things basically. You have to have good food for them to eat, high protein content. And secondly, you just have to let them get old. You can't shoot 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and expect them to be 5-year-olds. What we do is we harvest less deer, but they're bigger deer.
Well, Hooks and Horns is kind of a lifelong dream of mine. I've been guiding since I was 19 years old. Wanted to get into this type of business, and now at the age 46 had the opportunity to get a ranch like Rancho Colorado and outfit it for myself, and here we are.
Once we got to hunting, especially such as the first afternoon, we saw a tremendous number of deer. North and his son Taylor had put up a blind, a ground blind, next to a pond. The ground blind was set up so that it was back in the shadows, and the sun always seemed to be in the deer's eyes, so it was absolutely a great setup. That first afternoon, we saw numerous bucks, including some that you look at and you go, man, you wish your life away, because you look at them and you go, I can't wait to see what that deer's going to look like in 2 or 3 years. Second morning, we got up extremely early, got out, wanted to be there before first light, of course. And as it gets a little bit lighter, light comes up a little bit more. I mean, there's several bucks out of there, some really interesting deer that you look at and you say, good deer, but not quite the one that we're looking for. Saw a lot of deer, saw a lot of deer. coming down here, it's one of those situations to where you never know what's going to step out. We've had such a great year in South Texas. There's so much vegetation. The antlers are really good. Know that from a lot of different hunts I've done down here in the past, but particularly this year. Tremendous bird life. This is one of the most unbelievable places in the country that you can come to down on this particular ranch, because you never know what's going to step out. This one right here, what do you think about him? He looks like he's at least 10 points. And right at dark, we'd seen really good deer. A big 9-point comes in. Actually, he was probably a 10-point, had a little bit of short tine on one side, back tine split, just an absolutely beautiful deer. But he was one of those deer that you look at and you go, yeah, he's 4.5. And you look at him again, and yeah, he's 5.5. And you start thinking about what this deer is capable of doing in the future. Now, we've had a good year, but with the herd management and the habitat management that's going on here on the ranch through the efforts of the owners, and of course Norris as well, you just know that that deer in the future, along with others that you're looking at, is going to be a top-notch South Texas type deer. We're just about out of shooting light. Several bucks. Good buck came in real late this evening. He's a 10-point, long main beams. But the fact that there are no more hunters coming in after I leave makes me want to leave this deer. He's the best deer I've seen so far. Long main beams, comes way back, way around. Good browse, good mass. So the afternoon passed kind of without a whole lot of activity other than a lot of deer activity. No shooting, just an awful lot of looking. Here comes the buck I saw the other afternoon. Yeah, that's him. That's him. He's coming around.
As Larry struggles to kill a big buck in South Texas, one hunter in Illinois thought he had lost any chance at a trophy on Mike Hanbeck's buck of a lifetime.
One day, Chad Getton missed an Illinois giant with his bow. A year later, almost to the day, Chad shot the same buck with a Winchester slug, only 100 yards from this site. The 25-pointer scored 234 and had 55 inches of mass. The rack alone weighed 10 pounds. Boone and Crockett says that mass-wise, the Getton buck is one of the top whitetail racks ever recorded. This is amazing. That buck had been seen only 2 times. The day Chad missed him with his bow, and the day he got him with the slug a year later. Nobody else had ever seen the giant. This is cool. Chad had hunted hard for 18 years and never killed a big one. He told me, my buddies were riding me pretty hard about it. Not all the little bucks I was getting. Then I shot Monster of Mass and they shut the heck up. For more great big buck action, check us out on the web at versuscountry.com.
Coming down to Zapata County, it's been years since I've hunted Zapata. The area that we're hunting is characterized by a lot of deer, a lot of good deer. Managed these days by hooks and horns. Norris Mahost, and then of course Bill Whitfield is selling the hunts for him. So I had an opportunity to come down and hunt with these two guys. I'd heard a lot about Norris, had not had a chance to meet him in the past. And I knew that he knew something about hunting and knew something about managing deer, and then of course being able to come down here with Bill Whitfield, who I like to call the senator because of, let's just say, he talks a lot and sometimes he knows what he's talking about. But Bill's a very dear old friend, and we've hunted together a lot of different places and love to cajole back and forth, give each other a hard time. And he's probably one of the best booking agents there is, run some ranches as well. And I've dealt with Bill for a long, long time. So that too was an absolute pleasure coming down here. We're sitting there, tucked back in the brush, just, I mean, deer coming from 10, 15 steps out in front of us, if that far, not even knowing that we're there. That was the beauty of this particular setup, and one of the reasons we kept coming back to it. It was like spending a day in the life of a deer, watching the different interactions with all those deer. between the fawns, between the does, between the bucks, and the interaction between all those different classes of what's going on. And then of course, the bird life again is just phenomenal. We're sitting there and we've got deer literally all around. They're coming into this little green stuff coming up in there like it's a food plot. Essentially that's what it was. It was Mother Nature's own food plot. Halfway through the hunt, it's been a really interesting hunt. We've had all kinds of weather changes, uniform changes if you will. Trying to stay in camo as much as I can. These deer have not been messed with in the last 3 years. That's the beauty of it. We've seen some really good deer, mostly good young deer. The buck I'm looking for is an older deer that is 5 or 6 years of age. It'll score 140 or better. I don't care whether he's 8 point, 10 point. Had a really good deer in here last night, looked at him, and I kind of looked at him really hard, and to me, he looks like he's probably a 4. He could be a 5-year-old. If he comes in this afternoon, I may take a little bit closer look at him, maybe try to make him a year older than what I think he is. But we've seen some really good deer. These deer are just about to come off the tail end of the rut. They're still chasing a little bit, and there's still a few mature bucks, so we'll see what happens the rest of the trip. I've been thinking about that one buck, if I got an opportunity at him. Maybe he really is 5 points, long main beams. Late in the afternoon, this buck comes in, and I know which one it is. It's the one I've seen the day before. He's basically a 9 or 10 point, got split back tines, long main beam, good mass. Here comes the buck I saw the other afternoon. Pretty sure it is. Yeah, that's him. That's him. He's older than I thought he is. Yeah, he's got to be at least 5. Right there's the shot. Don't know where. I'm all set, and the deer turns, and he's kind of quartering to me just a little bit. And I don't know what happened. I got the hammer caught, take a deep breath, gently tug the trigger, the deer runs out. I can't imagine. This is my old favorite pistol that I have more faith in than any other gun that I have. But the deer runs off. I go through all the efforts to make sure that he's okay, that there's no blood, there's no hair, there's none of this. We can't find anything. Turn's just right. I'm going to take him. There he is.
Winchester's Whitetail Revolution is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Bushnell Optics, magnify life. Code Blue, perfecting the science of hunting. Winchester Repeating Arms, the guns that work.
I'd get out the next morning, and we're sitting there, and we've got deer all around us. I mean, and they're coming in close, and all of a sudden they all spook. They all leave. This one buck comes back in. He's one that we've seen before, and I look at him really close, and I go, that deer is at least a 5.5-year-old deer. That buck will turn just a little bit where I got a good broadside shot. They're starting to turn right there. There he is. I can't. He's moving over there. He's moving over there. He's gone. He's gone. I can't believe it. I miss that deer. I absolutely miss that deer. He turns broadside, and I shoot, and we don't get him. We don't get him. Go through the whole thing again of trying to find out what's going on. Can't find any blood. Can't find any hair. The deer's gone. Can't figure out what's going on. That thing is not even halfway tight. It was just hanging like that. That entire back end of that scope is loose. Now normally I check those things every time I go out, but we're into, not a complaint, but I've been hunting now for about 6 months. I am physically and mentally tired, because obviously I'm mentally tired, because if I hadn't been, I would have noticed that was the case. So I finally at least figure out what's going on. Get back into camp. First thing I do when I get back into camp is I set up my bags, shoot at the target, fire in the hole.
So that was pretty nice.
Well, that thing shoots absolutely great.
Yeah.
I had one of the scope mounts come loose, and that's the reason I wanted to shoot it, to make sure. You can't give up. You can't let things, if things go wrong, you can't let them get to you. I mean, if you miss some deer, things like that, hey, it happens. It happens to the best of us. So many different factors can play in, but you can't let a miss or two get you down. So we're back out that afternoon. Last afternoon, the hunt, it's about 83, 84 degrees, such as South Texas in January. Deer activity probably could be slow. It's been a most interesting trip, with quotation marks interesting. Hopefully something will show up. We got a little time to hunt in the morning. This place has been really good to us, but I think the deer are finally on to us a little bit. The wind's changed a little bit, but it's still the best place going right now. We got water, as I mentioned several times, just over to my left. Got all kinds of green stuff coming up in this little floodplain right here. It's one of the few places where there's still green around right now. So we'll just kind of play it by ear. Sometimes you win, sometimes the whitetail wins. This may be one of those times where the whitetail comes out on top. But we'll give it our best shot. Sit back and relax and enjoy the 80+ degree heat. Got one little 8-point out there, but there's a bunch of does and a lot of fawns. Looks like somewhere between 80 and 100% fawn crop based on what I've seen so far the entire trip. I love looking at those little 6-month-old buck fawns with their knobs. There's gonna be some really, really good bucks there. We're sitting there and some bucks do come in, and then finally just right at dark, right just before there's just a little bit of sun left, this buck comes in, and there's no doubt this is a good deer. There's a deer way down there, just coming around. I think it's a buck. Oh yeah, it is. It's a good 10-point. He's got 10 long points. He's got some age to him. He's got a decent sized neck. Just coming this way. If he'll just keep coming straight on. You hear that time? I think he's down. Unbelievable, unbelievable. I jump out of the blind, start running over that way, and sure enough get there, and here's this absolutely beautiful 140 plus 10-point. I mean, no question about it. He's a mature deer. He's a little small-bodied deer compared to some of the other deer that are here, but that's deer like people. They're individuals. Some of them are big-bodied, some of them are small-bodied. He's probably 19 inches wide, 18, 19 inches wide. Talk about an absolutely beautiful deer. He's probably at least 5 years old. He has got a nice rack. That is a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous South Texas whitetail. Hooks and horn. Oh man, look at that. Talk about a way to start the 208 hunting season. We're still in the 207 hunting season, but it's in 208, and what a way to begin it. Absolutely fabulous deer. Absolutely fabulous place. We've seen so many bucks, unbelievable deer. Oh man.